war is not waged on battlefields alone. The greatest wars are fought in silence in the minds and wills of those who stand before you, trembling with uncertainty. To master war is not to draw blood. It is to shatter resolve without raising a blade, to dismantle hope before the first blow is ever struck. Conflict is not won by force, but by bending the world to your will, shaping it as the potter shapes clay. Real power lies in the mastery of perception, in making your enemy dance to your rhythm. Lose himself in the fog of your making until surrender feels like his only sanctuary. Strike not at flesh, but at the very essence of your opponent. A broken bone will heal, but a fractured mind remains splintered forever. Plant doubt where there was once certainty. Sow confusion where there was once clarity. Show strength where none exists, and weakness where you are strongest. Make each move a contradiction, every word a snare. The art of war is the art of illusion, the mastery of shadows and whispers. When the enemy looks into the darkness, let him see not your form, but 100 shifting silhouettes. Each time he reaches out, let him grasp at nothing. For the warrior who strikes at phantoms is one who defeats himself. Force him to see every corner as a threat, every ally as a betrayer. Lay the foundation of fear before you ever lift a finger. Make the ground tremble beneath his feet. An enemy who is hunted by his own thoughts is a beast, caged within a labyrinth of his own creation. He will thrash, he will fight against his own shadows, each struggle weakening him, bleeding him dry. When the time comes, you need not raise your voice or your weapon. His ruin is already complete. He is vanquished before the battle has begun. War is not the clash of steel or the roar of gunfire. It is the unseen dance of power, the slow tightening of a noose hidden in plain sight. To master war is to become the puppeteer, every string pulled with precision, every movement calculated. The enemy must believe he stands on solid ground, even as the floor beneath him crumbles to dust. He must see victory within his grasp, only to find it turned to ash. Each step forward must lead him deeper into the snare, each victory a hollow triumph that drags him closer to the abyss. When the moment comes, he will look around and realize he was never the hunter, he was always the prey. Win every conflict before the first strike is thrown. Warriors armed with nothing but rage and strength are weapons with no aim. Beasts driven by instinct. But the master of war does not fight the beast. He makes the beast fight itself. Lure him into false comfort, let him build his fortress high, his confidence higher still. And then unseen, strip him of every advantage. Undermine the foundation he believes unshakable. Let him reach the summit of his pride, blinded by his own glory, and when the ground gives way, when he finds himself plunging into the depths of despair, his fall will be swift and absolute. There is no victory more complete than the one in which no blood is shed, where no battle is fought. For in such a victory the vanquished knows he was undone not by superior strength, but by superior will. He is not defeated by brute force, but by his own mind turned against him. And that is the deepest cut, the wound that never heals. To know that every step he took, every choice he made, was not his own, but orchestrated by an unseen hand. He was not overcome by your power, but by his own weakness, his own blindness. Such a defeat leaves no scars on the flesh, but etches itself into the soul. This is the art of war, the art of conquering without fighting, of crushing without touching. It is not enough to win. To win is mundane, to conquer is insufficient. The true mastery lies in domination that is felt, not seen, in control that goes unnoticed until it is far too late. The enemy must not even realize that he was ever in a conflict until the game has ended, the pieces shattered, the board overturned. War is not a clash of armies, it is a dance of unseen strings. Each pull must be subtle, each motion a prelude to annihilation. Let others waste themselves on the battlefield, chasing glory with swords and guns. A true master makes war a whisper, a shadow that falls over the mind. Every fear, every doubt, every unsteady breath is the war cry. Every whispered word, every hesitant glance, these are the weapons that wound deeper than blades. And when it ends, when he is on his knees, broken not by force, but by the collapse of his own design, let him understand that he was defeated not by a warrior, but by an artist who knew the soul of war better than he ever knew himself. The greatest war is not fought against another, it rages silently within. It is the battlefield of the self, where every fear, every doubt, every weakness is a knife turned inward. This war is not meant to be won nor to be lost. It is meant to endure, for in its endurance, strength is born. To master the war within is to face the dark mirror, to confront the beasts lurking in the depths of your soul. Many are consumed by these shadows, devoured by the chaos they unleash. But those who seek to conquer themselves are not seeking peace. They seek dominion over every flaw, every crack, until the self becomes unbreakable. Pain is not an enemy but an ally, a relentless instructor that demands your evolution. Rage, fear, sorrow. These are not burdens to be cast aside. They are fires that must be harnessed, shaped into the weapons that will forge something greater. When the war within threatens to consume, do not cower. Face it, embrace it, and bend it to your will. For to suppress the darkness is to let it fester, to allow it to poison the core. But to master it, to make it kneel, that is power beyond reckoning. There is no growth in the absence of conflict. Without struggle, the self remains stagnant, a stagnant pool where nothing thrives. But to battle oneself, to pit strength against weakness, resolve against doubt, is to tear open the soul and rebuild it anew. To become better, you must first be broken. Break the spirit that clings to fear. Break the mind that recoils from pain. Each fracture, each defeat is a lesson that tempers you, that burns away the frailty until only the unyielding remains. The war within is a crucible. It does not destroy, it transforms. Many seek to silence this war, to drown out its roaring chaos with shallow pleasures and distractions. But those who embrace the darkness, who confront it, know that it is not a force to be feared, but to be mastered. The storm within is relentless, and it should be. To lose yourself to that tempest is to be shattered, but to conquer it is to rise above what you were, to ascend. Let the darkness rage. Let it tear through every corner of your mind. But when the dust settles, stand amidst the ruins as the architect of what remains. Do not seek to end the war. Seek to become its master, and in that mastery find power. The war within is not a weakness, it is a forge, and those who are tempered by it become something beyond human, something that transcends the fragile limits of flesh and bone. Every scar, every wound from this internal battle is a mark of what has been overcome, of what has been conquered. To emerge victorious in this war is to stand unbound, no longer a prisoner to your fears, your doubts. For in mastering the darkness within, one becomes the wielder of it. So, let the war rage on, a ceaseless tide that churns and rips through your soul. But let each battle make you stronger. Do not flee from the conflict. Let it refine you. Learn to wield your own demons as weapons, to turn your doubts into strength, your rage into focus. With every struggle, grow sharper, darker, more resolute, for only those who can withstand the war within are fit to master the world without, to become something more, something terrible and magnificent. One must first conquer the chaos that stirs in the depths of the soul. This is not a battle that ends. It is a war that evolves, a dance of shadow and flame that never ceases. But that is its purpose. Growth is not a destination. It is the unending metamorphosis that transforms agony into wisdom, failure into resolve. Each confrontation leaves its mark, each wound a reminder of what has been endured. Those who fear the darkness within never understand that it is not a curse but the wellspring of power. Every struggle within the soul is a reminder that there is no victory without pain, no evolution without loss. And so embrace this war as a gift. Let it mold you. Let it strip away every weakness until you become something unrecognizable, something feared. Those who try to silence their internal conflict only bury their potential. But those who rise above it, who master it, become a force that no external enemy can match. For when one has bent the war within to his will, when the chaos no longer consumes but serves, there is nothing left to conquer except the world itself. Those who seek to master themselves cannot ignore the labyrinth within, the murky depths where trauma festers, where hidden desires plot and schemes unravel in silence. To conquer this maze is not to merely understand oneself. It is to weaponize every thought, every impulse, every fragment of the psyche. Psychoanalysis should not be a passive art of introspection, but a ruthless excavation of the self, a systematic dissection that forges clarity from chaos. To dissect the mind is to understand the battlefield on which the most insidious wars are waged. The art of war does not begin on the plains of armies or in the corridors of strategy. It begins within the tangled roots of the psyche, where motives slither and fear coils like a serpent. Psychoanalysis exposes these hidden enemies, turning what was once murky instinct into something sharper, something that can be harnessed. What is an opponent's strength if he remains blind to his own fear? What is a warrior's might if he is enslaved by the shackles of unspoken weaknesses? Psychoanalysis is the map that charts these vulnerabilities, and to master it is to master not only oneself but all who stand before you. To truly understand an opponent, one must first dissect the core of the self. One must delve into the deepest shadows, confront every suppressed urge, every violent thought lurking beneath the surface. The war within must be analyzed and charted like any other battlefield, for every impulse, every memory, is a weapon waiting to be wielded. One does not simply walk through the mind, one conquers it, tearing through every layer until there is no corner left unlit, no secret left unclaimed. Only then, with the self laid bare and every desire, every fear understood, can the art of war be wielded to its fullest potential. Psychoanalysis is the silent general of the mind, the strategist that unearths every hidden threat, every unspoken motivation. To go to war without this understanding is to march blindly into the fray, clutching weapons that may betray your hand. It is not enough to know your enemy. One must first know the self, must first be able to strip every thought, every instinct down to its core and master it. For every impulse can be turned into a tool, every fear into a snare for the unsuspecting. Those who grasp this art can unmake enemies before they ever rise, bend others to their will without a word, and in this mastery the art of war reaches its zenith. No battle is fought without understanding the mind. No victory is claimed without dissecting the soul, for war begins long before the blade is drawn. It begins in the mind, in the silent, shifting currents of thought and desire. Psychoanalysis lays these currents bare, exposes the hidden battles that rage within every individual, and in doing so it grants the greatest power of all, the power to bend both self and foe alike to a will that cannot be broken.